All right, guys, that takes care of the skip plates. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was a lot of work, but I think it came out pretty nice in the end, and I think they're gonna be tough enough to handle what we can throw at it anyways. All that's left now is to send them out to powder coat. I'm gonna take the skip plates off, take the frames off, and everything's gonna go get powder coated. But I'm going to wait until this bumper project is done, and that's what's coming up next. I got these driving lights, the high beam, low beam, yellow and white, and we're gonna put two per side into the bumper. So I'll be cutting some holes, doing some welding with some little pockets that I gotta make out of some aluminum pipe to house these, and then everything together is gonna go to the powder coaters. Now the thing about these holes in the bumper is they're gonna have to be oval because they're coming in at such an angle. I want the lights to be obviously straight to the road, but the angle on the bumper is pretty extreme. So in the end, these will kind of be like egg-shaped holes for the round tubing to fit into. And but for now, I think I'm just gonna draw some circles here just to see what more or less what the light would look like, I guess. Spread this far apart, or if I should put them, closer together type of thing. And I'm not sure how well this will come out on camera, but I'm trying to decide whether the light should be spaced apart evenly like this across the cross section of the bumper from bend to bend, exactly even, or they should be closer together like this. I don't know, it's a really hard decision. Maybe I should kind of split the difference. All right, I think I've come up with the compromise. This one here is 3 inches apart between the circles, and you can kind of see the traces of the old ones. That was 1.5 inches apart. It looked good, but I kind of wanted to maybe hit it kind of in the middle versus this one being 4.5 inches apart, and I think that's too much. I think that doesn't look very good, but this one's kind of a good compromise, I think. And it kind of lines up with the headlight bulbs if you look at it directly on. Not quite, I guess. This one's a little bit off. That one lines up with that bulb, and this one's over a bit. Not that that matters, but just aesthetics. Since you're doing it anyways, might as well think of all the stuff, what it looks like and how it's gonna work. I like that it's gonna have a little bit more spread, but not as much as the other side. The other side just kind of looked more too industrial, almost like tractor-like or something. This kind of looks more sporty with the lights being a little closer together, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys think the same or not, but I think I'm gonna go with something like this. So this is the tubing I ended up finding on Amazon. I believe it's 1/8 wall, something like that. The issue right now is it's 5 inches on the inside, and I need it to be 4.5. So my plan is going to be to split this, clamp it down. It's thin enough that I think that'll be okay, and then re-weld it. And then once we got that done, then we have the perfect pocket for the lights to fit into. Right now it's a little bit too much. So I ended up looking high and low for 4.5 inch ID tubing, and no luck. There was some suppliers in the US, and I would have to bring it across the border in large quantities and all this stuff. But I did find these 12-inch pieces of tubing on Amazon. These were the most economical way to go. and the quickest way to go, because the other stuff, like I said, would have had to come from the US and it would have had to come in 10-foot lengths and blah blah blah. It was going to just be a nightmare. So I decided to do just this a little bit of extra work and make these work instead. That's a cut with the plasma cutter. How awesome is that? I love that tool. So after welding, these are just a little bit out of round, so I'm just going to give it a little push here with the press. And then got just a cut-off disc to kind of give me as a bit of a guide. You kind of see they're a little bit off after welding, and they don't have to be perfect. I mean, they're just a pod for the light, so but they do have to be round more or less. So give it a little bit of a squeeze here. And so that looks a hell of a lot better already. It actually looks pretty much mint. So there we go. Turning a 5-inch ID pipe into 4.5-inch ID pipe. Oh, tubing, sorry. So I used my frame mounts here for my shackles, which I know are square to the frame, and I put this piece of rectangular tubing on there, squared it up to the bumper so it's level with the bumper, and now you can really see when I put the tube in there how far off I still am. It still has to go that way quite a ways. It looks square when you don't have anything else for reference, but still got to keep going. And same with this one, which I thought was even closer, but as you can tell, the angle is not right. Alright guys, well, got a good start on these pods for sure. Now it's to the point, I think, where I'm going to have to remove the bumper so I can do the final kind of sanding and prepping and get everything a lot more level. I did as much as I could here over the last day while the bumper was bolted to the truck, because it's nice and sturdy that way. But now it comes to fine tuning, so I'll show you guys kind of more or less what it's going to look like. There's a few pinholes and stuff I still got to fill, but they're starting to look pretty good. That's this side here. So the toughest part is going to be doing these little notches and stuff like that, and making sure everything's nice and level here. Alright guys, so things are starting to shape up here. Definitely spent some time on the die grinder and on the files and on the air sander, but I got things fairly flat, and I was just filling in all the little pinholes that were left over after everything got sanded down. So I'll show you guys what that looks like just now here. So yeah, just filling all the little pinholes in. There's a few of them, and then I gotta sand all that, and then this side will be pretty much done. But it's turning out really nice. It's looking like, once it's powder coated, I think it's going to be great. The biggest pain is trying to do this groove in here. I got to do all that by hand with a file, so that's definitely a little bit time consuming, but I think it's going to be good. Okay guys, I got all the welding and the grinding and the filing and all that stuff pretty much done on the light buckets. Got most of the pinholes, the large ones anyways, welded up and filed down again, so I'm happy with the way it is now, and I think powder coating is definitely going to cover the rest, which is fine with me, because like I told you before, the bumper is not perfect to begin with. It's got a lot of little chips and dings and whatever in it, but I'll show you guys how it all turned out in the end. So pretty good. I think I got the lines pretty straight, and then we'll go over to the other side here. I mean, that looks pretty nice to me. So that's that. I'm kind of glad that's over. But anyways, now I'm gonna make little mounts for the lights, mount them actually in there, make sure I got the adjustability I need, and drill any holes I need to drill for the mounts and all that stuff before it goes to powder coat. So that's the next step. Maybe I should take a minute and talk about this bumper, because it's obviously been modified beforehand. So a year or two ago, I ended up cutting off the big skirt that was down at the bottom and making these short little skirts. Made this one for the front, cut out the front here for the winch, and then I also moved this support. This used to go all the way down to the bottom, just like the side ones do. So I trimmed that back to make room for the winch. I didn't really want to build a whole new bumper with the winch on it. I really like this because it's super lightweight. So I ended up just tucking the winch on its own mount between the frame, and then covered it with the existing bumper that actually came with the truck to begin with when we bought it. So it was just a lot uglier and a lot longer skirt and all that, so trimming it a little bit, and now with these little lights should make the old farm bumper a little more sporty looking, and I think having it black is gonna add to that effect as well. So just to explain to you guys what I was doing before with the plasma cutter behind the little light buckets, is basically making a little bit of space for adjustability on the lights. I'm going to design some brackets and have them laser cut out of some 2" by 1/4 aluminum, and they're going to mount to the bumper, and then on top of that bracket the light will mount. So I had to make a little slot, a cutout, because the light pod sits right about here, and in order for me to be able to move it back and forth and side to side, I needed a little bit of room. So the bracket will bolt to the bottom. I'm just using this as an example, obviously, through this hole, and then it'll be able to go back and forth, and then have a slot in here for the light to be able to go forward and backwards. Pretty simple. But I actually like the fact that the mounts for the lights will be independent of the bumper, because then it gives you lots of adjustability. If you have just a hole for your bolt in the bumper, that's it, you're kind of stuck with where the light is placed, and I don't think that's going to work for me here. So that's all I was doing there, and now that it's finished, it's ready to go. So it's another day in the shop, but today is an awesome day because we got the powder coating back. So this is all the skip plates and the bracketry, and back there behind me, as you can see, is the bumper. Really excited to tear into this packaging and see what all this looks like. After all that work, it's kind of nice to have the finished products finally here. So I'm gonna do that next, unpackage everything, have a quick peek, and then it's gonna be time to start putting this stuff on. So excited, let's get going. Oh yes, looking great. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this whole idea with my little brackets I had for mounting the lights. I'm going to show you here on the light. So basically what we're looking at here is a simple bracket like this. This is what we designed on the computer, had laser cut. This part here bolts to the bumper. This is the light, and then when it's on there, you can move the light back and forth like this in the bumper, and then slide it forward and backwards to line it up with the little socket. So I got a couple of them in here already. You can kind of see it's kind of what they look like, and take you in on the inside. Now I can move the light left to right in the socket, as well as forward and backwards. Another thing I had cut was some spacers to go under the light. So I have movement left to right now and back and forth, but if I need to raise the light up on its mount or lower it, I got these spacers cut. I got a bunch made from 1/4 inch and a bunch cut from 1/8. So essentially they'll go between that bumper bracket and the light. Depending on what I need for height, I can do a combination of the two or whatever, and then that way when the truck is on its wheels, when the camper's on, that's when I'll have to adjust the lights. And if I need to bring the lights up or down and I'm running out of room inside the socket, that's when I can use those little spacers, spacer washers, whatever you want to call it, to adjust the light up or down so that it's still centered in the little pocket in the bumper. That's the idea anyways. We'll see how it works out when everything's back together. So I got the bumper on with the lights installed, and you know what? I could not be happier with the way this has turned out. I mean, I think it looks absolutely awesome with the dual lights on each side. I think it's really giving the old bush bumper, farm bumper, whatever it started out to be, now it's a bush bumper, a kind of a nice sporty look. I love that the lights have dual beams, the yellow for low beam and the white for high beam. and that I can control them independently. And I can drive with the yellow beams on all the time because that's legal, and turn on the high beams when I want for extra light. It's gonna be fantastic, I think. And I think the truck with the black now, I thought maybe it's gonna be too much because the truck is black as well, but I don't know, there's something about it, I just love it. All blacked out is cool. I think it's looking pretty slick. It looks a little too brand new now on the truck. The rest of the truck's gonna get some pinstriping and you know, 20-year-old paint, but this is way up front here, so it's gonna see a lot of weather, a lot of rocks and pebbles and stuff, so it's gonna fade in pretty quick, I think. But yeah, extremely happy with the way it turned out. I'll show you guys the control panel as well. So this is where I ended up mounting it. I think it's a good spot. I have the high beam for the bumper lights right here, so I could just kind of rest my hand on here and have my elbow on the window and just on off as I'm driving down the highway when I need it. The amber lights are pretty much always stay on, so those are way over there, kind of out of reach where I don't need to hit them. And then I got the hood lights here, so left and right hood light for looking for campsites or looking down the side of the trail or whatever. Really liking this whole control panel thing. I think it's gonna be kind of nice to have everything in one location, not just for the wiring under the hood, but also just right there in the truck. Like everything you need to turn on or off, or all your accessories are in one spot. That, I think, it just makes it really clean, really nice, and easier to use too. So anyways, yeah, let's continue on and get the skip plates on. What a day. Truck's finally out of the shop for this winter, and I got it into the sun. I got a few minutes of sun. I think it's gonna rain later, but I brought it out just to see what it looks like. Man, incredible. The change is huge. I mean, check this thing out. I think you guys will agree with me that it's a really big change on this thing. It's kind of cool to do a mod that is functional and it looks good at the same time, or improves the looks. In my opinion, that's the best case scenario. So the bumper improved the function a bit because of the lights. Well, quite a bit, because the lights suck on these trucks, the headlights I mean. And the second thing is it improved the looks, and going black, it was definitely the right choice, I think. Same with the skip plates. They look good, but they serve a pretty important function, so that's pretty awesome. Can't get enough of it. Just want to keep staring at it and not get it dirty. Well, that's not gonna happen. I build my vehicles to use them and to definitely get them dirty. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed making it. And like and subscribe if you can. It really helps to get the channel out there.